Hello, everyone. Today we are going to talk about the placement of the seventh lord in various houses. By now, many of us are aware of its results in different houses, but there are many of us who are still learning the subject. And through this video, maybe you get to know something new. So stay connected till the end of my video, and probably you will learn something new from the results of the seventh lord in various houses. I've been pretty inconsistent with my videos because of some commitments. So I'll try to be as regular as possible. So let's start with the placement of the seventh lord. So friends, the seventh house is a very important house because it is a part of the Kendra houses. We all know the planets that are placed in the Kendra houses will become very powerful in their delivery because this is the house which is meant to give you, but this is also the house which makes you do stuff before it is going to bless you with good things in life. So if you are having benefic planets present in your Kendra houses, then the life becomes a cakewalk. But if you have got malefic planets present in your Kendra houses, then the life becomes pretty tough. But despite that, you will be able to achieve things if you undergo that desired amount of hard work with the presence of malefics in the Kendra houses. But today we are going to talk about its placement, the placement of the seventh lord in different houses. So friends, the seventh lord or the seventh house is associated with many things. First of all, it is one of the Marak houses. The second house and the seventh house, these are the houses of killing. So these are the killer houses. So it means whenever the period of the seventh lord will rise, at that time, you will go through some stress. If the person has attained his desired age, then the period of the seventh house can also give a person their passing away time. But if the person is still having a life, if the person is destined to live more, then the period of the seventh house lord will give you difficulties during its time. So it can give you lots of stress or it can give you some concern related to your health. But again, if it is in a good position, if the seventh lord is sitting in its own sign and there is no affliction to it, then it will give you good results. But whatever it is, the seventh house also tells you about your marriage, about your partnerships, about your foreign travels. A lot of people who want to settle in foreign lands, their settlement shall be seen through the seventh house because this house gives you foreign residency. This house gives you lots of foreign connections. This house gives you foreign travels. This is the house of your day-to-day life, which tells you about your connections with people. This is the house of business partnerships, and this is also the house of your status. Now, how it is so? Because the seventh house is 10th to your 10th house. So by being the higher reflection of the 10th house, the seventh house shall also tell you about your status. So if you are having many planets placed in the seventh house, it will indicate that the person is fit to do a business. Now, having many planets in the seventh house will also tell you that you will be making lots of foreign travels during the dashas of those planets that are posited here. At the same time, if your seventh house is empty, it's vacant, then it means that the person is not very keen upon forming alliances because the seventh house is also about your sexual partners. So if you don't have any planet present in the seventh house, it means that the person doesn't feel the need to be with someone and the person is pretty cool about those things. But if you are having many planets or even one planet present in your seventh house, it means the person will always crave to be in companionship of somebody. And these are the people who will always keep themselves active where their partners are concerned. So they will always feel the need to be with someone. So now let's start with the placement of the seventh lord in first house. The first house is you. The first house is your entire self, your entire body, your entire personality. So if the seventh lord is present here, it means that the person is always casting his impression on others, and the people opposite to him will always get attracted towards him because of his personality. So you could be a very popular person where opposite gender is concerned. These are the people who may have many relationships also. And this placement also indicates that the person may undertake many foreign travels, and the person will make a name for himself through his efforts. Now, this placement also shows that the person may be having many wind related problems. Now, why I'm saying this? The reason to it is that the third house, seventh house, and the 11th house, these three houses are the airy signs. They are controlled by the air element. So if the seventh lord has gone to your first house, it means that you will be having wind related problems. Now, the placement of the seventh lord in the second house, it can mean various things. First of all, it means that you could be into a business that is dealing with food, finance, or family. So you could be doing your family business. It can also mean that your spouse could come through a circle of your family network. It can also mean that your spouse could be taking care of your finances, and it can also mean that you could be attracted towards people who are not meant to be associated with you. So these people get attracted towards others very easily, towards the people whom they should not be associating with. So this placement will also give you some ups and downs in your marital life if the seventh lord in the second house is undergoing some affliction. So that can also cause some health problems to your spouse. But if the seventh lord is very well placed here in the second house, then you can get lots of wealth coming through your spouse. If the seventh lord and the second lord are same, then it can become a very strong marak here, especially if there is some affliction happening to the seventh lord in the second house when they are same. For example, in the Aries ascendant, the second house is controlled by Taurus and the seventh house is controlled by Libra, and both are under the lordship of uh, planet Venus. So Venus is controlling these two houses. So in this case, if Venus sits in the second house during the period of Venus, it becomes a strong marak. Also, for the dual signs, the seventh lord becomes very, very difficult, because for all the dual signs like 3, 6, 9, and 12, the seventh house is also their Badhak house. And it also becomes Kendradipati Doshi. Now, what is Kendradipati Doshi? So, if the benefics, they become the lord of the Kendra houses, they become very malefic. So, for the dual signs, the seventh house is Kendradipati Doshi, is Marak, and is also a Badhak. Badhak means obstacle causing house. So, when the seventh lord is associating with their second lords, then also they become very strong Marak. For example, in the Gemini ascendant, the fourth house is controlled. The second house is controlled by Cancer sign, and the seventh house is controlled by Jupiter. Now, when Jupiter is sitting in the second house, it becomes exalted. It becomes a very strong Marak in this case. So now we got to know what we can expect from the seventh lord in the second house. Now we'll talk about the placement of the seventh lord in the third house. So here it is sitting 9 places away from itself. So it means that the person would prosper through his travels in foreign lands. And you could have your siblings who could be very helpful towards you, and you will have a very strong communication power. You could be using your communication in your networks or in your businesses. And if the seventh lord is afflicted in the third house, then it is not good for the well-being of your younger siblings. But if it is under the influence of some benefics, then it will give you very worthy siblings, and you will prosper in your travels and also through your foreign networks. If your seventh lord is placed in the fourth house, the fourth house is the house of lands, assets, things of comforts, your education, and your mother. If the seventh lord is placed in the fourth house, you could be having a spouse who is very dominating. And if the seventh lord is afflicted in the fourth house along with the fourth lord, then it can give you problems related to your mother's well-being. And if it is a planet like Mercury or Jupiter in the fourth house, then it can give you troubles related to your education, schooling, especially because the fourth house is about your high school and your senior secondary school, that is up till the grade 12th. So you have to see if there is any affliction happening in the fourth house, or there is some benefic planet that is influencing the seventh lord in the fourth house. Now, this placement is also good for those people who are dealing with land businesses, who are into construction work, or who are into interior decoration work. For them also, this placement does very well. So we will talk about the seventh lord in the fifth house. So the fifth house is the house of your children, of your love relationships. So it means when the seventh lord is connecting with the fifth lord, then there is a short chance of you having a partner of your choice, which means you will have love marriage. So if the seventh lord is sitting in the fifth house and there is some affliction to it, in that case, there could be difficulties related to you having children or in your love relationships. So always look out for the other influences that are being formed whenever a planet goes to another house. So that should not be ruled. And now we'll talk about the placement of the seventh lord in the fifth house. Will also tell you that you could be doing a business or a work where you are connecting with lots of people, where you could be in the show business, or you could be doing work related to speculation. And this placement is very good for your spouse, because after your marriage, your spouse will have tremendous amount of gain. And this placement is also very good for people who want to go into politics, and they can do really well because it is forming a Kendra and Trine combination. So whenever the Kendra houses, quadrant houses are making a connection with the Trine houses, they form a Raj Yoga. So this becomes a Raj Yoga. Now the placement of the seventh lord in the sixth house also has to be seen with great detail, because sometimes the seventh and the sixth lord could be same. For example, for the Leo ascendants, the seventh lord is ruled by Aquarius and the sixth house is ruled by Capricorn. Both of these houses are ruled by planet Saturn. So in this case, whenever the seventh lord is sitting in the sixth house, it will give you good results, but there should not be any affliction. So for the sixth house, it will form a Viprit Raj Yoga. But for the seventh house, it can give you a spouse through your maternal family circle, or your maternal uncle or aunt could have a role to play in you getting married. And it can also harm the well-being of your partner, or it can give you a partner who could be very hardworking, because here the seventh lord and the sixth lord are same. But what if the seventh and sixth lords are different and still the seventh lord is present here? it can again mean that you will have a very hardworking spouse, or who could be a doctor, or who could be working for a social cause. But if the seventh lord is connected to the sixth lord, then there is a problem, because then it gets afflicted by the sixth lord. Here I'm talking about the condition where the seventh and sixth lords are different. So if the seventh lord is sitting in the sixth house with the sixth lord or with a malefic, then there is a problem in your marriage. You better do some remedies here. Now, we'll talk about the placement of the seventh lord in the seventh house itself. So friends, the seventh house is a Marak house. So seventh lord in the seventh house can become a strong Marak. So here, if it is afflicted, then it will be more painful for the native, especially after he or she gets married, because then the seventh house will become activated here. Seventh lord in seventh house will also make you very good with your business abilities or business skills. You could have a very worthy partner. Your partner could be very talented or could be very good by their nature. And this placement is also going to cause lots of influence on you through your partner. And it is a very good placement for you to have a property in a foreign land or to visit foreign countries, and it will promote your stay in foreign lands, and it will also enhance your status after your marriage, because the seventh house is 10th of 10th. So we'll now talk about the placement of the seventh lord in the eighth house. So friends, the eighth house is also a trick house, a house of, you can say, distress. So seventh lord sitting in the eighth house is not considered good, because it can cause problems in the well-being of your marriage partner or in the longevity of your marriage. And it can also give some troubles to the temperament of your partner, because the eighth house is also the house of, you can say, transition. So your partner may not be having a very sound way of talking to you. And sometimes if the seventh lord is sitting with the eighth lord here, then it becomes very afflicted and it can spoil your marriage. But if the seventh lord is sitting with the benefic in the eighth house, then it may not give you bad results. But if the seventh lord is sitting with the malefic in the eighth house, then again it is a problem for your well-being in the marriage. Now we'll talk about the placement of the seventh lord in the ninth house. So the ninth house is a trine house, a house of blessings. So if the seventh lord goes there, it means you could do a business where you are dealing with religious things, or you could be a teacher. You could earn respect by being a teacher, and it can give you a spouse with whom you will have to work really hard to make things work. So your spouse could be into lots of travels, and your spouse could be traveling to foreign countries, or you could have a spouse who could be very religious or who could be a lecturer. So many things can be understood through this placement. But if there is a malefic aspecting your ascendant and the seventh lord goes to the ninth house, then it can be very devastating for the well-being of your marriage. But it also makes a Raj Yoga, because the Kendra Lord is now connecting with the ninth house of, you can say, fortune or luck. So whenever there is a connection between the Kendra Lords and the ninth lords, then your luck will enhance, your luck will rise, and it forms a Raj Yoga. So it will give you good accomplishments in life. Now, if the seventh lord goes to the 10th house, it is again a very powerful position, because it will give you a spouse who has a good social standing, and it will also give you a spouse who could be a bit dominating towards you. This placement will also give you a good rise in society, and you will make a mark for yourself. This placement could give you a work where you are associating with government agencies or with big corporates or with big companies. So this placement is considered as a very sound placement, and the person will definitely rise to a good position through this. Now we'll talk about the seventh lord in the 11th house. So friends, 11th house is always welcoming any planet that has to sit there. So any planet that is sitting here will give you good results during its dasha. So the 11th house is the house of wish fulfillment. It is the house of desires. It is the house of gains, which means that you will get a partner that you desire. You will earn a lot through your businesses. You will also have lots of gains coming through your marriage, and you will also you can also prosper in businesses which are associating with big corporates. You could be dealing with big corporates, or you could be engaging in some businesses where lots of a large group of people are involved. So again, it is a desirable position. So now we'll talk about the placement of the seventh lord in the 12th house. So friends, here planet, the lord of the seventh house is sitting 6 places away from itself. Not a good placement for the seventh house. So it can give you some difficulties in your marriage, and your spouse could be a spendthrift, and you also may like to spend a lot on your spouse, and you could get to travel to foreign countries for sure. And in this position, you may also be into a business where you are dealing with jails or hospitals, or something to do with spirituality, or something to do with healings. So your partner could also be very spiritual here, and this placement can also be very good for foreign settlement. So friends, these are some of the things which I could tell you about the placement of the seventh lord in various houses. So stay connected, and I'll come up with my next video of the eighth lord in different houses. Till then, goodbye friends.